once again, hello everyone, and I'm back with the series of lectures of machine learning. Today is lecture number 18, and we are going to cover up the lecture in continuation with the yesterday's topic that was neural networks. So, in continuation with that, today I'm going to explain the topic of activation function, which is a core part of any neural network. And together with that, we'll be studying about the types of neural networks that are there in artificial neural network. So stay tuned with me and keep on learning. So here today we are going to see the activation function and the ANNs with their types and how they execute, how we implement them with some of the application areas of ANNs. So the objective of today's lecture will be we will be understanding activation function and its types, then the ANNs and its types, how these ANNs work, the working and the procedures of them, and the knowledge representation part, that how the knowledge is represented using ANNs. So let us understand the activation function. So, it is actually recommended to understand what is neural network before, going through activation function. So I have given you the idea of neural network already. Now, in the process of, building a neural network, one of the choices you get to make is what activation function to use in the hidden layer as well as the output layer of the network. So we are going to understand the topics related to that. Okay. So first of all, we have seen that what all are the elements of neural network. So understand that the very first element of neural network was the input layer, which helps to accept the input features. And also it provides information from the outside world to the network. No computation is performed at this layer. It is not meant for any kind of computation. And the nodes that are here are just to pass on the information to the hidden layers. Secondly, we have hidden layer in the neural network where node of this layer are actually not exposed to the outer world exactly. It is in an abstracted form. So they are just the part of the abstraction provided by any neural network. Now, hidden layer performs all sort of computations on the features entered through the input layer and transfer the result to the output layer. Now, what is output layer? Now see, this layer actually brings up the information which is learned by the network to the outer world. So here, what is an activation function and why should we use them, right? So as we talk about activation function, actually, this function decides that whether a neuron, that is the node, it should be activated or not by calculating the weighted sum and further adding bias with it. Now, the purpose of the activation function is just to introduce non-linearity into the output of a neuron. Now, let us understand what does that mean. Now, see, we know that neural network has neurons that work in correspondence of weight, bias, and their respective activation function. Now, in a neural network, we would update the weights and biases of the neurons on the basis of the error at the output. Now, this process is known as backpropagation. So activation functions make the back propagation possible since the gradient are supplied along with the error to update the weights and biases. Now, why do we need nonlinear activation function? See, a neural network without an activation function is essentially just a linear regression model. The activation function actually does the nonlinear transformation to the input, making it capable to learn and perform more complex tasks. Right. So that is why it is required. So understand this thing that neuron cannot learn with just a linear function attached to it. A non-linear activation function will let it learn as per the difference with respect to errors. Hence, we need to have activation functions. Now, there are variants of activation functions. What are the variants? The very first variant is called the linear function. Herein, we have an equation. Linear function has the equation. It is just similar to a straight line, that is y is equals to ax. Now, no matter how many layers we have, if all are in the linear in nature, the final activation function of last layer is nothing but just a linear function of the input of the first layer. Then we have range, which is minus infinity to plus infinity. Then what are the uses? See, linear activation function is used at just one place, that is output layer. Now, what are the issues? See, if we all differentiate linear function to bring non-linearity, result will no more depend on input x and function will become constant. Now, it won't introduce any groundbreaking behavior to our algorithm then, right? Now, for example, calculation of price of a house is a regression problem. We have seen this in regression analysis. Now, house price may have, any big small value. So we can apply linear activation at output layer. Even in this case, neural net must have any nonlinear function or at the hidden layers. So this is one type of activation function that we have seen. Now, the second type or the second variant of activation function is sigmoid function. Now, this function is plotted in a S-shaped graph, right? What is the equation? It is A is equals to 1 divided by 1 plus e to the power minus x. Now, when we talk about nature, non-linear it is in nature, and we notice that x values lies between -2 to 2, y values are very steep. Now this means small changes in x would also bring about large changes in the value of y. Now its value ranges from 0 to 1. What are the uses? Now, usually used in output layer of a binary classification problem where result is either 0 or 1. We have seen this thing because, it is of the form of 0, 1. So it is more suitable for the problems of classification where we need to, output in either class 0 or class 1. Right. Now, as value for sigmoid function lies between 0 and 1 only, so result can be predicted easily to be 1 if value is greater than 0.5 and 0 otherwise, right? Now we have the third kind of variant, which is called 10H function. Now the activation that works at almost always better than sigmoid function is 10H function, which is also known as tangent hyperbolic function. It's actually mathematically shifted version of the sigmoid function. Both are similar and can be derived from each other, where the equation is like fx is equals to 10hx, which is equals to 2 divided by 1 plus e raised to the power minus 2x minus 1, right? Or in a sigmoid variant, if I say, the equation comes out to be this is 10hx, which is equals to 2 into sigmoid 2x minus 1. So this is the equation of the 10h function. Now, if we talk about the value range of this 10h function, it is -1 to +1. Then if we talk about the nature is non-linear. Then what are the uses? Now, usually used in hidden layers of a neural network as its value lies between -1 to 1. Hence, the mean for the hidden layer comes out to be 0, very close to it. And hence it helps in, centering the data by bringing mean close to 0. Now, this make learning for the next layer much easier, right? Now, the fourth variant of activation function. Now, the fourth variant is ReLU, which stands for Rectified Linear Unit. Now, it is the most widely used activation function, chiefly implemented in hidden layers of the neural network. Right. Now, what is the equation of this ReLU function? It is given by Ax is equals to max of 0, comma x. Now, it gives an output of x if x is positive and 0 otherwise. The value range is 0, comma infinity. Now, what is the nature? Nature of this function is non-linear, which means we can easily backpropagate the errors and have multiple layers of neurons being activated by the ReLU function. Right? Now, what are the uses? See, ReLU is less computationally expensive than 10H and sigmoid because it involves simpler mathematical operations. At a time, only a few neurons are activated, making the networks fast, making it efficient and easy for computation. In simple words, ReLU learns much faster than the sigmoid and the 10H function. Now, the fifth type of function is softmax function. Again, this is one of the variant. Now, the softmax function is also a type of sigmoid function, but it is handy when we are trying to handle classification problems. What is the nature? Again, this function is also non-linear in nature. When we talk about the uses of this function, usually used when we are trying to handle multiple classes. Now, the softmax function would squeeze the output for each class between 0 and 1 and would also divide the sum of the outputs. Now, what is the output? See, the softmax function is ideally used in the output layer of the classifier where we are actually trying to attain the probabilities to define the class of each input. Now, how do we choose the right activation function? This is an important and the major concept. So let us just talk about this. Now see, the basic rule of thumb is if you really don't know what activation function to use, the simply, you should use ReLU as it is, a general activation function and is used in most cases these days. Now, if your output is for binary classification, if you know that you are doing binary classification, then sigmoid function is very natural choice for output layer. You can use that, right? Now, what is the footnote here? See, the activation function does the non-linear transformation to the input, making it capable to learn and perform complex tasks. So this is, this is all about the activation function. So here you can see what we have seen. This is the activation function. You can see the values of it here. The output is set to 1 if the activation function meets the threshold. Otherwise, it is always set to 0. So you can see here the diagram of this. It is clear from this diagram as well. Then this is a piecewise linear function that I have told you. There is a linear type of activation function. The application factor inside the linear region of the operation is assumed to be unity here, right? Now, the next is this form may be viewed as an approximation to a nonlinear amplifier. So this is a linear sort of function. You can see the linearity here. Now, I have told you the sigmoid function, which is fairly simple nonlinear function such as logistic function. And as the slope parameter approaches infinity, the sigmoid function becomes a threshold function. So this is the formula here. You can see the formula. It is given by phi is equals to 1 divided by 1 plus exp minus ab, right? Where a is the slope parameter of the sigmoid function. And here you can see the graph. It is a S-shaped graph. You know, the sigmoid function will always depict some S-shaped graph here. So I hope activation function is already clear to all of you. Now let us move on to the artificial neural networks, where we have already seen the intro to the artificial neural network, but now we are going to see that what exactly the types of artificial neural networks are and what is the use of it. So let me quickly recap this artificial neural network. I'll be starting with zero again with artificial neural network, and then gradually we'll be moving forward for the various types of artificial neural network that we have. Okay, so stay tuned. So much of the modern technology is based on computational models, which are known as artificial neural networks. Now, there are many different types of neural networks which function on the same principle as the nervous system in our human body. So, what exactly is neural network? We have seen this, but again, let us understand with the view of Howard Rengold, who said that the neural network is this kind of technology that is not an algorithm. It is a network that has weights on it, and you can adjust the weights so that it learns. You teach it through trials, right? You teach it through sessions, through learnings, through experience. And by this, you will be clear with neural network, right? So, what exactly is artificial neural network? Let's understand that an artificial neural network is nothing but a system of hardware or software that is patterned after the working of neurons in the human brain and nervous system. Artificial neural networks are a variety of deep learning technology which comes under the broad domain of artificial intelligence. Now, deep learning is a branch of machine learning which uses different types of neural networks. These algorithms are inspired by the way our brain functions, and therefore, many experts believe they are our best shot to moving towards real AI. Now, deep learning is actually becoming especially exciting now as we have more amounts of data and larger neural networks to work with, right? Now, moreover, the performance of neural networks improves as they grow bigger and work with more and more data, unlike other machine learning algorithms, which can reach a plateau after a point. Now, how do neural network works? Understand. See, a neural network is actually, having a large number of processors. These processors operate parallelly, but they are arranged as tiers, right? The first tier received the raw input, similar to how the optic nerve received the raw information in human beings. Now, each successive tier then receives input from the tier before it and then passes on its output to the tier after it. Now, the last tier processes the final output. Small nodes make up each tier, right? Now the nodes are highly interconnected with the nodes in the tier before and after. So each node in the neural network has its own sphere of knowledge, including rules that it was programmed with and rules it has learned by itself. Okay. Now the key to the efficacy of neural network is they are extremely adaptive and learn very quickly. Each node weighs the importance of the input it receives from the nodes before it. So the inputs that contribute the most towards the right output are given the highest weight. Now, what are the different types of neural network? See, different types of neural networks use different principles in determining their own rules. There are many types of artificial neural networks, each with their unique strengths. You can take a look at this with at the diagram. I'll just show it to you. Here are the diagrams. Here you can see. So there are much more things to it. So we are going to see the different types of neural networks and their applications in details. So let us just understand some of the most important types of neural networks and their application. So first one is the feed-forward neural network or the artificial neuron. Now, see, this is one of the simplest types of artificial neural networks. This is the basic type, the simplest one, right? Now, in this feed-forward neural network, the data actually passes through the different input nodes until it reaches the output node. In other words, we can say that data moves in only one direction from the first tier onwards until it reaches the output node. So this is also known as front propagated wave, which is usually achieved by using a classifying activation function. Okay. Now, unlike in more complex types of neural networks, there is no back propagation and data moves in one direction only. So there is a single moving of the data. Now, a feed forward neural network may have a single layer or it may have hidden layers. So in a feed-forward neural network, the sum of the products of the input and their weights are calculated. This is then fed to the output. So, here we can see the feed-forward network. You can see the feed-forward network, the input layer of the source nodes that projects directly onto the output layer of neurons, and the single layer referring to the output layer of the computation nodes. So this is what we are looking at. Now see, the feed-forward neural networks are actually used in technologies like face recognition and computer vision. Now this is because the target classes in these applications are very hard to classify. So a simple feed-forward neural network is actually equipped to deal with data which contains a lot of noise. So feed-forward neural networks are also relatively simple to maintain. Now, the second type of neural network is called radial basis function neural network. So see, a radial basis function considers the distance of any point relative to the center. Now, such neural networks have two layers. In the inner layer, the features are combined with the radial basis function. Then, the output of these features is taken into account when calculating the same output in the next time step. Here, you can see that it is sort of a point which is connected to some other like points. Like you can see the centroid, and it is connected to various other edges like this. So it is surrounded by some other points also. So it is kind of this radial function. Okay. Now the radial basis function neural network is actually, it is applied extensively in power restoration systems. And in recent decades, power system have become very bigger and more complex. Now, this actually increases the risk of a blackout. So, this neural network is used in the power restoration systems in order to restore power in the shortest possible time. Okay. A third one is the multi-layer perceptron. Let me show it to you. This is a multi-layer perceptron feed-forward network. So a multi-layer perceptron has three or more layers. It is used to classify data that cannot be separated linearly. Now, it is a type of artificial neural network that is fully connected. So this is because every single node in a layer is connected to each node in the following layer. A multi-layer perceptron basically uses a non-linear activation function, which is mainly hyperbolic tangent or logistic function. So here's what a multi-perceptron looks like. You can see the diagram here. Just see to it. You can see the diagram. So it contains one or more hidden layers, the hidden neurons we have. And here, when we talk about the hidden, when we say the term hidden, it refers to the part of the neural network which is, not seen directly from either input or output of the network. So the function of hidden neuron is to actually, intervene between input and output. Now, by adding one or more hidden layers, the network is able to extract higher order statistics from the input. So, this type of neural network is applied extensively in speech recognition and machine translation technologies. Now we come over to the next variant of ANN, which is called convolution neural network. Now, see, a convolutional neural network or CNN uses a variation of the multi-layer perceptrons. A CNN contains one or more than one convolutional layers. These layers can either be completely interconnected or it can be pooled. So before passing the result to the next layer, the convolution layer uses a convolutional operation on the input. Due to this convolutional operation, the network can be much deeper but with much fewer parameters. Due to this ability, convolutional neural networks show very effective results in image and video recognition, natural language processing, and recommender systems. Okay. The convolutional neural networks also show great results in semantic parsing and paraphrase detection. They are also applied in signal processing and image classification. So CNNs are also being used in image analysis and recognition in agriculture, where weather features are extracted from satellites like LSAT to predict the growth and yield of a piece of land. So this is about the convolutional neural network. Now next, let us understand what is recurrent neural network. Now see, it is a different type of network which is very different from feed-forward neural network in that it has at least one feedback loop. So here, as a recurrent neural network is a type of artificial neural network in which the output of a particular layer is saved and fed back to the input. Now this helps to predict the outcome of the layer. The first layer is formed in the same way as it is in the feed-forward network, that is, with the product of the sum of the weights and features. However, in subsequent layers, the recurrent neural network process begins. Now, from each time step to the next, each node will remember some information that it had in the previous time step. In other words, each node acts as a memory cell while computing and carrying out operations. The neural network begins with the front propagation as usual, but remembers the information it may need to use later. If the perfection is wrong or the prediction is wrong, the system self learns and works towards making the right prediction during the propagation. This type of neural network is very effective in text to speech conversion technology. So here your recurrent network look like this. You see the diagram here? Recurrent network may consist of single layer of neuron, with each neuron feeding its output signal back to the inputs of all other neurons. So there are no self feedback. They are done like this, and feedback loops have a profound impact on learning and overall performance. So here you can see this is the diagram. You can see and go through it. So how we will decide the network topology, that what we are going to do. So for deciding, we have to consider that what transfer function should be used, how many input does the network need, how many hidden layers does the network need, then how many hidden neurons are there per hidden layer, and how many outputs should the network have. So see, there is no standard methodology to determine these values. Even there is some heuristic points, final values are determined by a trial and error procedure. Now next is knowledge representation. Knowledge is just the stored information or the meaningful information or models which are used by a person, machine, to interpret, predict, and appropriately respond to the outside world. So any good solution actually depends on a good representation of knowledge. The main characteristic of knowledge representation actually has two folds. One, what information is actually made explicit, and second, how the information is physically encoded for the subsequent use. Now, see, there are two kinds of knowledge. The knowledge world states or facts, the prior knowledge that we already have, the facts and figures that we have, And second one, the observation or the measurements that we do, right? So these are the two types that we are using. So knowledge representation, they can be labeled and unlabeled. Like each example representing an input signal is paired with a corresponding desired response. Now, labeled examples may be expensive to collect as they require availability of a teacher to provide desired response for each labeled example. Now, unlabeled examples are usually abundant as there is no need of supervision. Now, design of neural network may proceed as follows. An appropriate architecture for the neural network with an input layer consisting of the source nodes equal in number to the pixels of an input image. Now, the recognition performance of trained network is tested with data not seen before. Now, this phase of the network design is actually called learning. So there are four rules for knowledge representation. Rule number one, similar inputs drawn from similar classes should usually produce similar representation inside the network and should therefore be classified as belonging to same class. So there are plethora of measures for determining the similarity between inputs. Now, what are the roles of knowledge representation? See, a commonly used measure of similarity is the Euclidean distance. We have already seen the Euclidean distance. This is the formula you can see. I have explained in my earlier lecture. If you are not knowing what Euclidean distance is, please go back to my previous lectures where you can see what exactly is Euclidean distance. Now, another measure here is the dot product or the inner product. Given a pair of vectors xi and xj of the same dimension, their inner product will be the projection vector of xi onto projection vector xj. Rule 2 is items to be categorized as separate classes, should be given widely different representation in work. Then rule number 3 says if a particular feature is important, then there should be large number of neurons involved in the representation of that item in the network. Then there is rule number 4, which says prior information and invariance should be built into the design of a neural network whenever they are available, so as to simplify the network design by its not having to learn them. And rule number 4 is particularly important and highly desirable. Now, rule number 4 is particularly important and highly desirable because it results in a neural network with a specialized structure. Biological, visual, and auditory networks are very specialized, and neural network with specialized structure has a small number of free parameters available for the adjustment than other networks. Then they need a small training data set, learns faster, and generalize better. Rate of information transmission through a specialized network is faster. Cost of building a specialized network is minimum due to small size. Now, there are currently, no well-defined rules for doing this, but we have some procedures. They are known to yield useful results or rules. Now, in particular, we may use a combination of two techniques. One, restricting the network architecture using some local connection, and secondly, constraining the choice of synaptic weight using the weight share. So the latter technology is so important because it leads to reducing significantly free parameters. Now, how can we build the invariance into neural network design? Now, consider any of the following. When an object rotates, the perceived image by observer will change as well. Secondly, the utterance of a spoken word may be softer, loud, slower, or quicker. So, a classifier should be invariant to different transformation, or a class estimate represented by an output of the classifier must not be affected by transformations of the observed signal applied to the classifier input. So there are three techniques for rendering classifier type and its invariant of transformations. Invariance by structure, by training, or by feature space. So how do we do learning in biological systems? So learning approach is based on modeling adaptation in biological neural systems. Here, learning is equals to learning by adaptation. The young animal learns that the green fruits are sour, while the yellowish and reddish ones are sweet. Now the learning happens by adapting the fruit picking behavior. Now how biological systems learn? There are various ways. One way is from experience, like from the examples or whatever the trainings they have got by their parents or by the surroundings, by the adaptations. Second, the learning happens by changing of the synaptic strengths. Right. Synapses actually change size and strength with experience. The strength of a connection between the neuron is stored as a weight value for the specific connection. Learning the solution to a problem is actually equals to changing the connection weights. Now, what is Hebbian learning? When two connected neurons are firing at the same time, the strength of the synapse between them increases. So neurons that fire together, they actually connect together or wire together. Now, how do we learn in an end? We may categorize the learning process through neural network function, which are as follows. One is learning with a teacher, that is supervised learning. Then second one is learning without a teacher, which is actually the category of unsupervised learning and the reinforcement learning. We have already seen what is supervised learning and unsupervised learning. These are the labels and the classes. We have already seen all these things. Now, how we can solve a given problem using supervised learning? Determine the type of training examples, gather a training data set that satisfactorily describe the given problem. Now, after the training process, we can test the performance of learned artificial neural network with the test data set. And the test data set consists of data that has not been introduced to artificial neural network while learning. We have already seen these learnings, unsupervised, supervised learning. With this, I hope in today's lecture you might have learned all the things related to activation function, how ANNs use activation function, and what all are the types of different ANNs where you have to decide according to the suitable situation that which kind of ANN you want to implement. So with this, I'm coming over the completion of this lecture and I'm quickly going to share you the MCQs for today. So let me just quickly share the MCQ with all of you. And these are the three questions. We have just seen the types of artificial neural network recently. I hope you'll be able to answer. And in which ANN loops are allowed. Next, these are this is the fourth question. What is the full form for BN in neural network? Is it Bayesian network? Is it belief network? Bayes net or all of the above? So I hope you'll be able to answer it correctly. Question. Question number 5, 6, and 7. What is the name of node which take binary values true and false? What is auto-associative network and what is neurosoftware? Try to answer quickly. Let me take you to the next set of questions, question number 8, 9, and 10. So with this, I hope you were able to answer all the questions correctly, and I hope you have learned a lot about activation function and the neural networks. So in case if you have any doubts or if you have any problems, please comment in the comment box so that I can answer you in a better way. And just study hard, keep on learning, keep on studying. This is all about the lecture number 18. Thank you so much.